Lieutenant Take paced nervously along the docking bay, his three eye stalks swiveling in different directions. The metallic floor reflected the blinking lights from the control panels as he waited for the transport shuttle. Behind him, other alien drill sergeants whispered among themselves. A human? Here? The council must have lost their minds, hissed Sergeant Woojin, his tentacles curling with anxiety. Commander Nari joined them, her purple scales glistening under the artificial lights. The order came directly from Central Command. We are to integrate all spacefaring species into the Academy. Even Deathworlders. The shuttle's engines powered down with a low hum as it completed docking procedures. The airlock door hissed, releasing pressurized air, then slowly slid open. Take expected something monstrous to emerge. The briefings on humans described creatures evolved on a planet with crushing gravity, deadly temperature swings, and constant predator threats. Yet the figure that stepped through the doorway looked almost disappointingly ordinary. Cadet Jaiwo stood only slightly taller than Take. She had no visible natural weapons, no claws, no venomous spines, no armored plates. Just soft skin, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head of dark hair tied back neatly. Her academy uniform fit perfectly, and she carried a small bag of personal items. That's it, whispered Sergeant Woojin. That's what everyone's afraid of? Nari's scales shifted to a doubtful purple. Doesn't look like much, she said quietly to Take. But Take noticed things the others missed. The way Jaiwo moved, controlled, balanced, efficient. The subtle muscle definition visible even under her uniform. Most telling was how she adjusted to the station's lighter gravity with each step, never bouncing awkwardly like most new arrivals. That's what makes them dangerous, Take replied softly. They don't need natural weapons. Their entire planet tried to kill them for millions of years, and they survived anyway. The human approached the group of instructors. Other cadets from across the galaxy watched from a safe distance, many seeing a human for the first time. Cadet Jaiwo reporting for training, sir, she said, executing a perfect Federation salute. Take's eye stalks extended fully as he returned the salute. Welcome to your worst nightmare, Deathworlder. If Jaiwo was intimidated, she showed no sign of it. Instead, she smiled politely. Thank you for the warm welcome, Lieutenant. A low murmur ran through the watching crowd. Was the human making a joke? Your quarters are in Section 12B, Commander Nari said, handing over an information tablet. You'll be sharing with cadets from non-predatory species. For their comfort. Of course, Jaiwo replied, accepting the tablet. I understand completely. As they walked through the station corridors, other cadets moved aside, creating a wide berth around the human. Some species instinctively flared defensive postures, the Mechari raised their spine crests, while the Valaxian's skin turned warning colors. Your reputation precedes you, Take noted, watching the reactions. Humans often have that effect, Jaiwo said. But I hope my actions will speak louder than rumors. They passed the training facilities, simulated environments, weapons ranges, and obstacle courses designed for dozens of different physiologies. Jaiwo paused at the viewing window of the infamous endurance course, studying it with interest. That's the gauntlet, Take explained. A week-long course that tests every aspect of a cadet's abilities. Different sections target different weaknesses. No species excels at all of it. Fascinating design, Jaiwo said. When do we start? Eager, are we? Take's middle eye narrowed. The course begins tomorrow for your training group. Most cadets spend days preparing mentally. Jaiwo nodded respectfully. I'll be ready, sir. At the dormitory entrance, Take handed her the access card. Training begins at first bell. Don't be late. Never, sir. As Jaiwo disappeared into her quarters, Commander Nari joined Take in the corridor. What do you think? She asked. Take watched the closed door thoughtfully. I think tomorrow will be very interesting. Later that night, Take reviewed Jaiwo's file once more. The human had graduated near the middle of her class back on Earth, nothing exceptional by human standards. Yet here, among the stars, she was viewed as either a monster or a curiosity. "Computer, show me Earth gravity comparison," he ordered. The display illuminated with a simple graphic, Earth gravity at 2.1 times Academy standard. What would it be like, he wondered, to evolve on a world constantly trying to pull you down? To consider such crushing pressure normal? Tomorrow, he would find out exactly what humans were capable of. And despite himself, Lieutenant Take felt a shiver of anticipation. Morning light filtered through the dome of the training complex as 26 cadets from 17 species gathered before the entrance to the gauntlet. The massive course filled an entire section of the academy, with walls rising 3 stories high and warning signs in multiple languages. Lieutenant Take stood on a raised platform, his 3 eye stalks surveying the nervous cadets. Commander Nari stood beside him, data tablet in hand. "The gauntlet has broken cadets from 17 different species," Take announced, his voice echoing across the assembly area. "It is designed to test your absolute limits over a full standard week." Murmurs rippled through the group. Some cadets had heard the stories of exhaustion so complete that medical extraction was required, of species-specific challenges designed to exploit evolutionary weaknesses. "The course contains environments hostile to every known spacefaring race," Take continued. "Zero-gravity chambers, toxic atmosphere zones, strength challenges, and endurance tests. You will face darkness, heat, cold, and isolation. You may exit at any time by activating your emergency beacon." Cadet Jaiwo stood at the front of the group, her posture relaxed while others fidgeted anxiously. She wore the standard-issue environmental suit, modified slightly for human physiology. Beside her, Cadet Dohayan shifted his weight across his 6 limbs. The Peldarian's natural armor plates clicked softly as he leaned toward Jaiwo. "My cousin attempted this last cycle," he whispered, mandibles clicking nervously. "He didn't complete it. Called for extraction on day 5. Jaiwo nodded, studying the course entrance, a dark tunnel that sloped downward. "What's the record time?" 6 days, 4 hours, Dohayan replied. "By Avraxian. They have natural advantages in the toxic zones." Take raised his command baton. "You each carry 7 days of emergency rations. Water recyclers are built into your suits. Support staff will monitor your vitals constantly." His eyes fixed briefly on Jaiwo. "Begin on my signal." The cadets tensed, some dropping into starting positions optimized for their unique physiologies. The Mechari cadets extended their wing membranes. The aquatic Levians adjusted their hydration systems. Take's baton dropped. Most cadets moved forward cautiously, clustering at the entrance to evaluate the first challenge. Only Jaiwo sprinted directly toward the tunnel entrance, disappearing into the darkness before others had even crossed the starting line. "Bold move," Commander Nari remarked, watching the tracking dots on her monitor. "Or foolish?" In the observation room overlooking the course, instructors gathered around screens displaying real-time data. Each cadet's vital signs and location appeared as color-coded readouts. "Look at the human," said Sergeant Wujin, pointing to Jaiwo's biodata. "Her heart rate is elevated, but her stress hormones are within normal parameters." Commander Nari studied the readings closely. "She appears excited? Not fearful at all." The first obstacle was a climbing wall with handholds spaced for various physiologies. Cameras showed Jaiwo scaling it with efficient movements, testing each hold before committing her weight. Behind her, other cadets were just entering the tunnel. "The climbing section should slow her down," Take observed. "Humans lack the additional limbs that give other species advantages." But Jaiwo maintained a steady pace, using core strength and technique rather than extra appendages. When she reached sections designed for winged species, she improvised routes instead of following the marked path. The next challenge was a chamber where gravity increased gradually to 3 times standard, a test designed to wear down cadets slowly. Jaiwo entered, her movements becoming more deliberate but never stopping. "Interesting," murmured Nari. "For humans, this might actually be closer to their home gravity." Take scoffed. "The toxic atmosphere zone is next. She'll be calling for extraction within 2 hours." The environment shifted to a fog-filled corridor with chemical irritants calibrated to affect all known respiratory systems. Most species required breathing apparatus for this section. Jaiwo simply pulled a filter mask from her belt and continued forward. In the control room, betting had begun among the instructors. 2 days minimum, said Woojin, placing his wager. I give her until the sensory deprivation tank, another instructor added. As the day progressed, the gap between Jaiwoo and the other cadets widened. She cleared the strength challenges with methodical efficiency, conserving energy where possible. In the zero-gravity maze that typically caused navigation difficulties, she moved with surprising confidence. Has she done zero-G training before? Nari asked, checking Jaiwoo's file. Nothing extensive, Take replied, now watching the human with growing curiosity. By midday, Jaiwoo had completed sections that typically took cadets a full day to navigate. The observation room grew more crowded as word spread through the academy. No one had ever seen the gauntlet approached this way. Take's communicator chimed with a message from Academy Command, keep us updated on the human's progress. As afternoon arrived, even Take had to admit his prediction of early extraction had been wrong. Very wrong. And he couldn't help wondering what would happen when Jaiwo reached the psychological challenges that lay ahead. Take sipped his stimulant drink while checking progress reports from the far side of the gauntlet. Most cadets were still in the early sections, progressing at expected rates. The Vraxian cadet showed promise, already pulling ahead of the pack. The Academy's top brass would be pleased to see another strong performer from that species. His communication device buzzed. Commander Nari's voice crackled through with unusual urgency. Lieutenant, you need to see this. Something in her tone made Take abandon his drink and hurry down the corridor to the main monitoring station. Other instructors stepped aside as he entered the room. What is it? He asked. Nari simply pointed at the central display. The tracking system showed Jaiwa's position as a blinking blue. She was already at the underwater navigation challenge, nearly a third of the way through the entire course. That's impossible, Take whispered. She's only been in there for an hour. The monitors showed Jaiwoo emerging from the water, her environmental suit dripping as she moved directly to the next challenge without pausing to rest. Her vital signs remained stable, elevated heart rate and oxygen consumption, but nowhere near her limits. The underwater section should have exhausted her, said Sergeant Woojin, his tentacles coiling in agitation. It's designed to drain stamina. Take leaned closer to the screen. Show me her path through the toxic atmosphere zone. The replay appeared on a side monitor. While most species required full breathing apparatus for that section, Jaiwoo had simply pulled a basic filter mask from her belt and continued forward at a steady pace. Her blood oxygen levels never dropped below 95%. Her Earth-evolved lungs must be filtering impurities that would kill other species, Nari observed. Their planet's atmosphere is remarkably variable. Take watched as Jaiwoo approached the strength challenge. A chamber where cadets had to move stone blocks calibrated to test the limits of each species' physical capabilities. The human's block was set at 2.3 times standard mass, based on Earth's gravity. This will slow her down, Take said confidently. No species completes this section in less than 2 hours. On screen, Jaiwoo studied the block briefly, then began moving it with a technique none of them had seen before. She used leverage and momentum rather than brute force, completing the challenge in just under 7 minutes. Her approach is completely different, Nari said, making notes. She's finding solutions we didn't anticipate. The room grew more crowded as word spread. Instructors abandoned their posts to witness the unprecedented run. Academy scientists joined them, recording data and exchanging theories about human capabilities. Look at her in the zero-gravity maze, said one of the xenobiologists. No disorientation at all. The maze typically induced vertigo in most species, causing confusion and nausea. Yet Jaiwoo navigated it with confidence, using handholds to propel herself in precisely calculated arcs. Her endurance is. I've never seen anything like it, Nari said, watching as Jaiwoo completed the maze section in 1/10 the expected time. The pattern continued through each challenge. The temperature extremes that tested other species' biological limits seemed to barely affect the human. The sensory deprivation chamber, designed to induce psychological stress, registered minimal impact on her mental state. The Academy's AI assistant chimed in with its mechanical voice, analysis complete. Projected course completion in 58 minutes. New record calculation in progress. A stunned silence fell over the observation room. 58 minutes? Take repeated. The current record is 6 days. Sergeant Wu Jin turned to Take, all four eyes blinking rapidly. Should we stop her? This can't be right. On what grounds? Nari asked. She's following all protocols. She's just better at it than we expected. More instructors crowded into the room, mandibles clicking and tentacles writhing in disbelief. Some checked the equipment, convinced the monitoring systems must be malfunctioning. The Academy's senior officials arrived, drawn by reports of the unprecedented event. Admiral Ki-hyun, the Academy's commander, pushed through the crowd to stand beside Take. Is this data accurate, Lieutenant? The Admiral asked, his ceremonial head crest fully extended in alarm. Yes, sir. We've verified it through multiple systems. On the main screen, Jaiwoo had reached the final challenge, a vertical climb through shifting gravitational fields. Most cadets took a full day to navigate this section, resting frequently as the changing gravity drained their strength. Jaiwoo began climbing steadily, adjusting her technique with each gravitational shift. She's not even slowing down, someone whispered. The communications officer raised his hand. Sir, we're receiving requests from 17 different embassies for access to this feed. Word is spreading across the diplomatic channels. Admiral Ki-hyun nodded grimly. Grant them access. They would find out anyway. He turned to Take. Lieutenant, when she finishes, bring her directly to my office. I want to understand exactly what we're dealing with. As Jaiwoo neared the top of the final climb, the room fell silent again. They were witnessing more than just a broken record. They were witnessing the moment the galaxy's understanding of humans fundamentally changed. A crowd of instructors, officials, and medical staff waited anxiously at the exit of the gauntlet. No one spoke. The previous fastest completion had taken 6 days and 4 hours. Now, they watched the timer tick past 57 minutes. The exit door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Cadet Jaiwoo stepped through, her uniform damp with sweat but otherwise intact. She moved with steady steps, showing none of the exhaustion typically seen in cadets who attempted even portions of the course. The chronometer on the wall froze, 58 minutes, 17 seconds. Lieutenant Take stood directly in her path, all three of his eye stalks extended to their fullest length. His mouth opened and closed several times before he finally found words. How? He asked simply. Jaiwoo wiped her forehead with the back of her hand and smiled. It was challenging, but not unmanageable. She looked around at the gathered crowd. When do we start the real training? The medical team rushed forward with scanners. Dr. Jinwoo, the Academy's chief xenobiologist, ran his devices over Jaiwoo's form repeatedly, checking the readings with increasing disbelief. This can't be right, he muttered. According to these scans, you've only used approximately 60% of your physical capabilities. Word of the human's performance spread through the station like wildfire. Cadets from all species gathered in the corridors, trying to glimpse the Deathworlder who had shattered all expectations. Instructors huddled in groups, reviewing footage and debating what it meant for training protocols. By late afternoon, Take found himself in Admiral Ki-hyun's office along with Commander Nari and the medical team. The Admiral's ceremonial head crest was fully fanned out, a sign of extreme agitation among his species. Explain to me, Lieutenant, the Admiral said, how a course designed to take a full week was completed in under an hour. Take's middle eye twitched nervously. Sir, the course was designed based on data from all known spacefaring species. We had no baseline for human capabilities. The strength tests were calibrated correctly, Nari added. The humans simply found efficient solutions we hadn't anticipated. Dr. Jinwoo placed a data crystal on the Admiral's desk.
My preliminary analysis suggests humans have several biological advantages we underestimated.
Their musculature is denser than it appears. Their respiratory system is remarkably efficient at filtering toxins. Most importantly, they evolved on a high-gravity world with extreme environmental variations.
The Admiral's communicator chimed.
Sir, the human embassy representative has arrived.
Send them in, the Admiral sighed.
The door slid open, and Ambassador Han entered.
The older human male wore the formal blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. He bowed slightly to the Admiral. I understand there's been some concern about Cadet Jaiwo's performance, he said calmly. Admiral Ki-hyun gestured to a chair. Concern is an understatement, Ambassador.
Your cadet completed our most difficult training course in under an hour.
It's designed to take a week.
Ambassador Hyun sat down, his expression unchanged.
And this is problematic because
it suggests either our standards are insufficient, or humans have been less than forthcoming about their physical capabilities, the Admiral replied.
The Ambassador nodded without surprise. Cadet Jaiwo placed in the middle of her class back home.
She's not exceptional by our standards. A stunned silence filled the room. Take felt his skin color shifting to a pale green.
Middle of her class, he repeated. You're suggesting there are humans who could complete the course even faster?
Possibly, the Ambassador said. Though I suspect Jaiwo's approach was more important than raw physical ability.
Humans tend to solve problems differently than many species.
Across the academy, cadets were gathering in the main dining hall.
Rumors and theories flew wildly. Some claimed humans had hidden cybernetic enhancements. Others suggested secret genetic modifications.
Cadet Do-hyun, who had barely completed the first section of the gauntlet, found himself surrounded by curious classmates. You spoke to her before the test, said a Mechari cadet.
Did she say anything unusual? Do-hyun's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. She only asked about the record time.
She seemed curious, not concerned. In the medical bay, Jaiwo sat patiently as Dr. Jinwoo continued his examinations.
Your bone density is remarkable, he commented, studying the scan results.
And your pain tolerance appears to be significantly higher than our baseline.
Jaiwo smiled. Earth has higher gravity and more environmental dangers than most habitable worlds. We adapted. But to this degree? Dr. Jinwoo asked.
Your species has only been spacefaring for 3 generations. Most species take thousands of years to reach this level of physiological optimization.
She shrugged. We had to evolve quickly. Earth doesn't forgive weakness. By evening, the Academy's leadership had convened an emergency session. The training protocols for all cadets would need immediate revision.
The threat assessment for humans would require significant updating across the Federation database.
As darkness fell over the station, Lieutenant Take stood alone in the observation room, rewatching Jaiwo's run through the gauntlet.
He paused the footage at various points, studying her technique, her decision-making, her calm approach to challenges that had broken other cadets.
Lieutenant?
Take turned to find Jaiwo standing in the doorway.
Cadet, he acknowledged. You should be resting.
I feel fine, she said, joining him at the screen.
I wanted to ask about tomorrow's training schedule.
Take's eye stalks swiveled toward her.
After today, I'm not sure what we can teach you. Jaiwo smiled. There's always more to learn. And maybe I can help teach some things too.
3 weeks after Cadet Jaiwo's historic run through the gauntlet, the Academy looked very different. Training halls once divided by species now hosted mixed groups. Equipment designed for specific physiologies was being used in ways the engineers never imagined. In the Central Command Center, Admiral Ki-hyun reviewed the latest directive from Federation headquarters. The document was marked with the highest security classification. Immediate reassessment of all human capabilities, integration of human cadets into all Academy branches, development of joint training protocols. The Admiral read aloud, his head crest extending slightly with each point.
His aide, a slender Vraxian, cleared her throat.
Sir, 7 more human cadets arrived this morning. The human embassy says to expect 30 by next month.
The admiral nodded. Have Lieutenant Take oversee their integration personally.
Across the station, in Training Hall C, Lieutenant Take watched with fascination as Cadet Jaiwo guided a small group through modified exercises. What had begun as informal advice had evolved into structured sessions that many instructors now observed. The key is adaptive thinking, Jaiwo explained to Cadet Minhee, a bird-like creature with hollow bones who struggled with strength challenges. Use leverage instead of force. She demonstrated a technique for moving heavy objects that utilized momentum rather than raw power. Minhee tried the approach, her feathered arms straining at first, but then finding the right angle.
The training block moved smoothly across the floor. I did it!
Minhee chirped in surprise.
Commander Nari joined Take at the observation window. 5 other instructors have requested Jaiwo assist with their training groups, she said.
The improvement rates are impressive. Her methods are unorthodox, Take admitted. But effective. In another section of the hall, cadets practiced in the variable gravity chamber. Previously, species trained separately according to their gravitational needs. Now, mixed groups worked together, sharing techniques for adapting to different conditions. They're learning from each other, Nari observed. The Peldarians are teaching joint locking techniques to the humans, while the humans show the others their endurance methods. Central Command had assigned Take to develop new training programs incorporating human methodologies. His first effort was a revised version of the gauntlet, more difficult than the original, but designed to be tackled by teams rather than individuals. 4 days later, Take stood at the finish line of his new course. A team of 6 cadets from 5 different species approached the final obstacle, a climbing wall with handholds that shifted positions randomly. In the old training model, each species would have attempted it differently based on their natural abilities. Instead, Take watched as they formed a living chain.
Dohyan used his 6 limbs to create anchor points.
Minhee, with her lighter frame, scouted the path. The others distributed the physical burden according to their strengths. At the center of their formation was Jaiwo, calling out adjustments as the wall changed. They're all improving, Commander Nari noted as the team reached the top in record time. Even species we thought had reached their physical limits. It's not just that humans are formidable, Take replied, his eye stalks fixed on the training field. They make everyone around them stronger. Later that evening, Take found Jaiwo in the academy library, studying xenobiology texts. She looked up as he approached. Lieutenant, she greeted him.
Is something wrong?
Just the opposite, Take said. The Academy Council has approved a new position.
Training Integration Specialist. They want you to fill it. Jaiwo blinked in surprise.
But I'm still a cadet. A cadet who has changed how we think about training, Take replied. More importantly, you've changed how species interact during training. Around them, the library was filled with mixed study groups, something rarely seen before Jaiwo's arrival. Species that had historically avoided each other now shared tables and information. I spoke with Ambassador Hyun today, Take continued.
He told me something interesting about Earth history. What's that?
He said humans developed their greatest innovations not in isolation, but through competition and cooperation with different groups.
Take's middle eye fixed on Jaiwo.
You've brought that approach here.
The next morning, Admiral Kihyun addressed the entire academy.
Behind him stood representatives from 17 species, including Jaiwo. For generations, we've trained separately, believing our unique physiologies required specialized approaches, the Admiral said. Recent events have shown us the limitation of that thinking.
He gestured to the diverse group behind him.
These cadets completed the new cooperative gauntlet in just 4 hours.
A task we once thought impossible. As the assembly dispersed, Take overheard 2 senior officials talking. When we admitted the first human, I thought we were getting a potential warrior, one said.
Instead, we got something far more valuable, the other replied.
A new perspective.
Take watched as Jaiwo joined a group of cadets heading to the training hall. The fear that had greeted her arrival was gone, replaced by respect and curiosity. The Federation had gained more than they'd imagined when they admitted their first Deathworlder. Not just a warrior, but a teacher.